Alright, showtime, show fitness again. Alright, so this was supposed to be the last video. So this video is going to be this video, which is going to be why bodybuilding is the #1 sport, in my opinion. At least, that's been my experience. I'm going to explain why, and if it's something that, hits home with you, would really consider taking up either that sport, or karate, or some type of mixed martial arts. And I hesitate to say this though, because to get the experience that I got, you got to make sure that you get a type of an instructor or a workout partner like I had. Because if you don't, it's going to be the same type of stuff you're used to, and if the stuff that you're used to, the people you're used to are tearing you down instead of building you up, it's actually going to, you're still going to stay fucked up, right? You'll be able to kick people's asses, right? Because of it, possibly. Depends on how good you get, right? Because no matter how good you get, no matter how strong you get, there's going to be somebody stronger, right? No matter how good looking you get, there's going to be somebody better looking, right? And without surgeries and this and that and the other thing, all we can do is from here down, right? Botox, wigs, toupees, makeup, what else we got? Implants of whatever kind for men or women, whatever you call it, taking away reductions from certain areas, whether it be fat reduction, surgeries, or if you think you have too much of something in a certain area, you can get that taken out, right? Don't know all about the surgery stuff, right? I don't really have to worry about it in my sport. I just kind of let the weights do the talking, and then however the body looks, if there's nothing to do with this. Unfortunately, I'd be losing a lot of shows, right? So that's the thing, is that you don't have to be a good-looking guy to win bodybuilding shows. So that's one reason right there why it's a great sport, right? If you're a good-looking guy, fuck, blah, blah, it's not going to hurt you either, right? If you're a really good-looking guy or gal, you're up there in whatever class you're in, to have a good-looking face, it's not going to hurt you none. So you get up there and you outshine everybody right here. You're going to place the same as you would or higher if you're better looking than everybody else in the face, right? But the only time that that's going to help you maybe beat somebody else out is if they're exactly the same as somebody else, right? Your posing is just on point, just the same as the other person's. Or they could be the opposite. Your posing could be shitty, right? But maybe the other person's posing also shitty, and you place the same, right? So you can get outposed, you might be better looking, but if your posing is shitty and your physiques are similar, better poser is going to get over the better looking guy in the face, most likely, right? Same thing with the physique, right? If your physique sucks, you got a beautiful face, and this other guy next to you is like, he ain't going to get a date going off of this unless he pays for it. Maybe he's got other ways of getting girls, right? Or guys, or whatever he's into, because maybe he's funny, or he's got money, or he's got this or that and the other thing, got personality, this, that, and the other thing, or maybe because his body's so phenomenal that they are willing to overlook that, right? Because with women, there's a lot more auditory and kinesthetic stuff going on there that they make judgment calls on in order to feel a certain way and love a certain way and this and that and the other thing. Whereas with a lot of us guys, it's more visual, right? And as I get older and older, I get more kinesthetic than anything else. I'm an empath and this and that and the other thing. So visual is on one thing, but kinesthetic and auditory also kick in. Auditory is probably a second or third, because it's one of those things where tonality is really important and stuff, and body language and all of this. And so I try to utilize everything, man, when I make friendships and relationships and communications and this and that and the other thing. I try to use the proper tonality, and I try to use the right body language. I try to use the right visualizations if I'm future pacing people to follow along with the story I'm telling them or whatever else. So it's all important, right? You got to be an expert in all three things if you really want to connect with a wide variety of people, right? And not be just some reject, right? Because you're not going to be able to touch as many people, and I'm not talking sexually, right? But if that's your goal, it's the same thing, right? You're going to cock block yourself, so to speak, if you don't have certain skills with certain people. Because if somebody's highly kinesthetic and all you're doing is throwing visual stuff at them, they're going to be like, there's nothing for how I feel towards you. I don't give a fuck how you look. I don't care about all of this auditory things you're trying to do here. I'm not going to care about how this looks, that looks. You're trying to make me visualize certain things, unless you can draw them in with those visualizations, future pacing, this and other thing, by how that's going to help them feel when you future pace things, right? So they're not really visualizing how they see things in the future. They're using that visualization on how they're going to feel to pull them into being understanding to what you're trying to talk to them about. Or trying to sell them if you're doing something business-wise, right? You want to use those types of things even more so if you're going to do the business, the sales side of things. Fair enough? Because you've got, you got to have the right tonality with people. It's a motherfucker if you try to do, business or sales with people. That's why I don't fuck with that shit unless I really like what I'm doing. Because then I feel like I don't have to sell nothing, right? I'm just going to tell them how it is, and if they like what I've got to offer, we go for it. And if not, then we don't do it, and usually I just go off of word of mouth. So I don't get that busy, stay that busy, because I get a lot of repeat customers. I get occasional referral here and there, but I don't usually ask for referrals, so I always forget and fucking don't follow up with nothing. So all I do is, once people are in the system, I keep them in the system for as long as they want, and they can get out at any time, and then come back at any time. So as far as the people I already have, easy street. I keep most of them. Most of the time, usually the only time I lose them is if they got to move out of the state, or they just decide they've got a different passion to pursue, or they just really aren't into it anymore. They're going through some shit, and just, I can retain a lot of my people because I love what I do, and I have a good rapport with them and this and that. If I actually use sales skills, I'd be a lot busier, right? But I don't treat what I do as a business. I treat it as a hobby, and that's my problem. And I look at a lot of my clients as family, and that's a problem too. Psychologists say you're not supposed to do that shit. So, but I'm an empath, so I can't help it. But that's that. Don't fucking worry about that shit. Why bodybuilding is the #1 sport in the world, in my opinion, is because it doesn't tear people down. If you do it right, it brings people up. Same thing with martial arts. If you teach it properly, it doesn't break people down as well. You would think so. You learn to break bones. You learn to use the most excessive force at the most opportune time. You learn to punch or kick somebody or strike somebody 3, 4, 5 times the time that a normal civilian can get off 1 or 2 punches, right? Big difference. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's these sets of styles and systems and all these types of things that are locked into martial arts. But here's the kicker, and here's what I love about it, is you can take somebody with little or no skill sets as far as athletic ability. You can take somebody with down in the dumps depression, low self-worth, low self-esteem, low self-confidence, all this sort of things, and you can build that up, right? Because why? The weights don't lift themselves, right? So you can't just even with the top of the line shit out there, supplement-wise, everything else, you're only going to get a certain amount out of it unless you really put in the work, right? So natural or not, you have to bust your ass to get anything out of anything, right? And then when you learn to use people's power and speed everything against them in martial arts, you're taking things to another level. Now, if you get somebody strong, you get somebody big and strong and flexible and fast and to react quickly and to pay attention to the surroundings, learn about safety and security and all that stuff, the self-confidence, the self-worth, the confidence, all that stuff, it comes up with the results. You can't help it because you're starting to notice things, and you start to see things from a different viewpoint, a different perspective. You start to learn about the world and the people in it and the people around it, and how people are driven in certain different ways, and certain obstacles and adversities that people can't get through, and all of a sudden you're plowing through them because you have this new skill set. It's an endeavor that is an opportunity for anybody to really better themselves, because it takes discipline and consistency and a clear mindset and all these stuff to get the optimal results. Can you get good results when you're not quite dialed in or 100% focused? Of course you can. You got people coming off the street sometimes high on drugs and everything else, right? Or the big alcohol problem, or going through God forbid you ever go through it. A lot of people do. 70% nowadays, I think. Used to be 50%. But a nasty divorce, right? Or hopefully you can go through a pleasant divorce, but it's still going to probably fuck you up in certain ways, right? Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, everything else. Or you might be flat out there going, whoo, I'm free, and fuck. I dodged the bullet there, man. That was a nightmare, right? you know, everybody's situation is going to be different, right? But whatever you're coming in with, and you're coming into these environments, and you're coming into these pure as the driven snow type environments, depending on who your teacher is, of course, and there's going to be some shady people in there teach you some bad shit, right? And so you got to want to stay away from those people that try to get you to use these skill sets for evil because you can destroy the world with them, right? You can become a supervillain. But the good news is you can also use this skill set to be a superhero, real life superhero, and that's why you want to find the right coach and the right instructor to get you in and get you better. Be around people, places, and things that build you up, not break you down, that fill you up spiritually, not self-destruct you, right? And so that's why I think bodybuilding and martial arts are the best sports in the world, because they work on everything. It works on this, it works on the heart, right? It works on the spirit, the soul. It can build all those things up. And you might have somebody in your ear all the time, right? They want to fight you, they want to humiliate you, they want to do all these physical, harmful things to you. And when you learn this skill set, it might not be overnight, but eventually you pass people up, and all of a sudden these powerful people that were just bullies because they had no skill sets, you can wipe the floor with them. And by the time it comes time to work the floor with them, sometimes you got that aura about it. They can feel like, oh, okay, this guy's standing up to me now, this gal's standing up to me. I don't know if I want to push it. And they might back off right there. But they're so used to being that weak, it's okay. Today's the day, motherfucker, I'm gonna knock you the fuck out, right? And they come at you and they miss, right? And then when they try to hit you, and one grazes you, but in the meantime, you've just struck them 3 times, 4 times, right? They're on the floor now. Oh, here, let me help you up. You're being a nice guy. Guy's a cheap shot. You throw him, you flop him off to the side. You just toss him, right? You just whoop, you dodge and slip, dodge and slip. He can't land nothing. And now he's dazed and he's going for a haymaker, and boom, you toss him into the wall. Boom, he hits the wall. Hey, watch where you going, buddy? You want me to help you again? Tries to take a sucker punch. Ooh, man down again, right? He's down again. You just hit him one time, right? Or you need him, or you struck him in the shin, right? You do whatever, right? You try not to blow out their knees and stuff. You're going to learn that skill set, but don't do it, right? If you don't have to, it's not just for a normal bully. You know, if it's a life or death situation, you might have to up your game, right? You get the fuck out of there. You break the nose, right? Break the collarbone, blow out the knee, whatever you got to do to get the fuck out of there, right? But a lot of the times people are trying to bully you, and you can stand up with your woods to a certain set, to a certain point, and then sometimes the physical stuff's going to come whether you want it or not, and then you got to deal with it, right? So, but do it as a last resort, because unless you can prove self-defense, okay, you can still go to jail, win, lose, or draw. So violence is a last resort. Some instructors won't even teach you if you only use it when you want to use it versus when you have to use it. Does that make sense? So then that's what I teach too. Use it when you have to use it, not when you want to use it, you feel like using it, or you want to make an example out of somebody and they don't really deserve to be made an example of you. If they're an asshole, you don't just want to go, okay, that guy's kind of a jerk to that person. Hey, you, no, you don't do that shit, right? Maybe talk to him, pull him aside, this and that. Maybe they're having a bad day. It might not really be like that. They don't normally be that way before, right? And they just had a bad day, so we went off on them, and so they're going off on somebody else. And all you see is that. You can't just make a judgment call off of one little incident, fair enough? So, back to my point, why is bodybuilding? Well, because a lot of good bodybuilders were once have had like bad childhoods. They were bullied, or they're beaten up on a daily basis, and their freaking lunch money taken, all this other stuff, right? Made fun of because they were a nerd or whatever, or because they were skinny, pushed around or whatever. Couldn't get dates, save their lives. I mean, there's all kinds of other things that go along with the same reason why a lot of people get in martial arts. They get be a doormat for too long, they get tired of it, they do something about it, right? So, instead of being, you're a loser, you're a nerd, you're a whack job, you're just a pussy, you're a skinny motherfucker, look at your buck teeth, look at that fat ass belly you're carrying around there, and fucking fat ass motherfucker, look at you, and, you you ugly bitch, and all this other stuff, and hey, you look at her, you slept with half the school, what the fuck are you doing here, you know? And you start to get those things that tear you down instead of build you up, right? So you take these people that are broken and you build them up, right? And then that shit don't happen anymore, right? And then even if it does, and you're going through your transition, and they don't always say, hey fatty, you know, fat no more, right? You know, half the belly, half a fat ass, and it gets to be like, oh shit, dude, sex looks pretty good. Oh fuck, he looks better than me. Motherfucker, you fat ass, you ain't fat, so fat. Man down, right? You knock him out. You don't talk to you that way no more, right? And so, the same way, hey, bitch, you slept like half the school. Yeah, well, you know what? You ain't one of them. You ain't ever gonna be, right? So, fuck off. What'd you say, bitch? And you slap him around, right? Then, guess what? He don't talk to you that way no more. Now, I'm not saying you just do that. I'm saying if this person actually puts their hands on you, don't put your hands on them first because they're using this. Just do this and walk off, right? And let them go fucking jerk themselves off in the fucking corner because now their words can't hurt you no more, right? Because before you're too scared thinking you're gonna stand up to them, they're gonna continue to bully you. They can't do that no more. They don't have that power. You took that power away from them. And if they want to think that they're going to take that power back, let them try. Let them try, and they can taste the floor for a little bit, and then they're going to be leave you alone, right? So that's the whole point of getting into the sports for the right reason, to protect yourself, protect others. Maybe you got a baby sister, brother you try to protect, or maybe you got an elderly friend or parent or family member, whatever you're trying to take care of, and people are fucking them up. You know, they're stealing their money, or they're taking advantage of them, or they're making fun of them, or they're, God forbid, throwing them down a flight of stairs or something because they're older now with a cane or whatever, and so we push them down a stiff flight of stairs or something. You got to go pay that person a visit now. Well, you want to be in shape to do that. You want to be able to really teach them a lesson so they don't ever push another old man down the flight of stairs again, right? There's certain things that violence is not always necessary, and yes, it's a last resort, but there is sometimes where it's an option, right? It's a necessary option because the person's not going to change unless you do something about it, and if you don't do something about it, they're going to do that and a lot worse, and you can't let the bad guys continue to win all the time. Tear you down, call your names, beat you up, take your lunch money. You know, that's got to stop, right? And it can't continue anymore. So, like I said, if you're one of these people that is getting picked on, or you feel like your safety is being violated, or your self-confidence is being destroyed, or your mental health is going down the toilet because you live with somebody that's tearing you down on a daily basis, if you can't get yourself out of that situation, you can't change your job, and this bully's always there, they're your boss, whether you're your co-worker, whatever else it is, right? Maybe you can't change jobs. You gotta see that motherfucker every day, right? And they're one of these people that, oh, you dropped something, pick it up. You drop, right, you tripped on my foot, get back up, right? Those days have gotta end. You gotta teach that person a lesson. You can't take that no more. Those days are over, right? You can't have people, if you're living with somebody that they're calling you names all the time, they pick on you. If you can't move out, if you got no other place to live, you're gonna have to stand up for yourself, right? So, if you're in an abusive relationship, you gotta get out of there. And if you can't get out of there, you're gonna learn to stand up for yourself. And if you can't stand up for yourself, you gotta bring somebody in there to protect you, right? If you've got some, powerful guy, and how good you are, you can only, if it's a bad guy, you only gotta get away from him one time because you're in the street, and we teach that too. You run away, you say fire, 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 and they call the cops and stuff because the ambulance and the firefighters and everything come too, but the cops come with them, right? And so if you say help, 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 maybe nobody shows up. But you say fire, 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 you got help on the way, and now you got enough space. You sprayed them, or you gouged their eyes, or whatever, you kicked them in the balls, whatever you took to get that separation distance and run. Well, if you live with somebody big and strong, I don't care how many martial arts you learn and everything else, if this person's fairly skilled too, and you're a little gal, you're not gonna win probably. So you gotta be smart too. So you're gonna have to come with an army of people that take the martial arts with you, right? And then you gotta maybe put that guy out in the street. Maybe they gotta have a couple guys always protecting you and walking you to and from the house and living in the room with you and everything else, and not letting that motherfucker close to you, right? And you might, if the guy's strapped and got weapons, you're gonna have to have somebody come in with that's strapped also, right? You can't have that anymore in your life. You can't be around that. So if the cops can't get you free and clear from that, if they can't keep you safe, then you're going to have to do it old school, and you're going to have to find a band of brothers to come in and take you out of that situation. You can't be susceptible to that all the time. And if you got kids in there, what's even worse, if the guy's beating up your kids or whatever, you got to get your kids out of there first. They can't be around that. So that's my advice there is, if you're living with somebody, get away from them. If you can't get away from them, you gotta figure out a way to fix it yourself. If you can't fix it yourself, then you're gonna have to get some people on your side that can help you fix it. Because otherwise, you and your kids are gonna be abused and or killed. And abuse will last the entire time that you're there, either until you're dead, or until you get out, or until that person's dead. That's how long it's gonna last. If it's that kind of a permanent arrangement, you don't care if you love the person, I gotta get out of there, right? Guys, a little different, right? If you're in an abusive relationship, you either put up with it or you don't. You live there or you're not. You know, you got that power unless they're the same thing though. I mean, if they're like some of the gals that I train, if you can kick 90% of the guys' ass to come into contact with, it's a bigger, stronger girl than you are, then, you know, it's the same thing. You can't look at it as like, oh, she's a girl. It's like, no, that's a warrior. She's a badass, and you need to get the fuck out of there if she's abusive and kicks your ass all the time if it's not for a legitimate reason, right? Sometimes they go, oh, what'd she kick you in the face for? What'd she punch you for? You must have done something to deserve it. Well, not always. There's what's called bullies, but the good news is most of the women that I know with that skill set, they don't do that to people because they don't have to, right? They only do that as a last resort, just like me. So most of the gals that I know that are abusive and stuff like that, I mean, that could be abusive and stuff like that, they aren't, because they don't have to be, because they're confident, they're strong, and they can kick most guys' asses, and they were never that way to begin with. So sweethearts before the muscles and the training and all that and stuff, and they had to get into that stuff to protect themselves and defend themselves, not to beat the shit out of their husbands, things like that, right? So be smart, right? And if it's just a mentally abusive relationship and stuff like that, and you're a guy, now you got a little wiggle room, right? If she's not physically threatening to you, you can walk, right? Or you can stay. It's your choice. It's your call on that. Just also make sure, of course, if you're the bigger, strong guy, don't give her the means to maybe throw you in jail, right? So, meaning, if she puts her hands on you, you either leave or you don't leave. But what you can't do is put your hands back on her, right? Because then the person's going to jail even if you don't hurt her. Bigger, stronger guy. Guess who's going to jail? You are, not the girl, right? And the law is like that for a reason. Because most of the time, the guy's the bigger, stronger, more dominant guy. Unless, of course, they've been trained by somebody like me, or one of my friends, or yada yada, and then 90% of the guys' asses, and then that's when it can be unfortunate if somebody with that kind of strength and power and skill set abuses it and goes, oh, I'm the defensive woman, and this guy might even be a little bigger than her, and then of course, the guy's going to jail. So if you're a man or a woman with any kind of superior skill sets that you can destroy the person physically you're living with, and they don't have it coming, and they're good people, then I certainly hope that you're at a higher level than that and you're not going to abuse people or hurt people just because you have that skill set. Hopefully you're using it to love and protect those kinds of people who are good in the world, not to hurt them or destroy them or put them in jail or humiliate them or injure them or kill them or anything like that, right? So that's my spiel there. So if you're getting bullied, Make the decision today. No more. I mean, this is right now. I'm gonna get that skill set. Once that skill set's developed, it's never gonna happen again. And you know what? You're gonna be right. You're gonna figure out a way to get around that. You're gonna get through it, and the person's gonna stop peeing that way towards you because it's your self-improvement and self-worth that you have towards yourself improves. They're gonna sense that and they're gonna knock it off, or they're gonna just keep crossing that line, and all of a sudden they're gonna get it. And they're gonna get it good, and they're gonna fucking feel like stupid because somebody that thought they could crush with one finger, puts them on the ground in less than 30 seconds, or knocks them the fuck out, or submits them, or breaks their arm, or their fucking leg, or whatever else, right? Or their nose, because it's only 7 pounds of pressure to break a nose, 3 pounds of pressure to break a collarbone, you got these all kinds of pressure points. It's amazing stuff. You can fuck somebody up so fucking easy and fast when you know what you're doing. It's phenomenal. It's fucking awesome, right? If you're using it for the right reasons against the wrong people, that deserve that shit. You just fuck them up and they're fucking done in less than 30 seconds. Their collarbone's busted, their nose is busted, and their arm's broken, and they're missing 3 teeth, and it's less than 30 seconds. And they're out cold. Have a nice day. Don't fucking touch me again. It's done. Next time you see him, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing good, how you doing, right? Didn't mean to change. All of a sudden, they're a nice guy, right? It's a miracle. And it only was 30 seconds of instruction. He taught him a lesson in less than 30 seconds. Now they're a nice guy. Amazing. And it's going to take a while to develop that skill set. It's going to take more than 30 seconds to learn it. I guarantee you that. But once you learn it, it's going to take 30 seconds to a minute. It's going to take under a minute against somebody that doesn't have the proper skill sets that you do. They're a big, strong person. We're talking another level, right? Somebody been trained since they're 5 years old, the bad guy. You might be in trouble, but you'll know as you go through life and training and develop skill sets and stuff, you'll start to understand all this stuff a little bit better. That's another level up, right? So we won't worry about that till we get there. Alright, it's been Showtime with Showtime Shredded Fitness over here. Size, growth, get big. Alright, take care and God bless.